So it's a feeding school to a government school. So what I wanted to find out is, so the type of curriculum that you guys are doing, so is it flexible enough? So should I choose to take him to a private school? Will he be able to go through with the IEB curriculum? Or if he does go to like a government school, because I mean, will he be able to do that curriculum as well? I think they're using CAPS. So I just wanted to find out, are you guys agile? Can I take my child through this program? He's doing grade R now. And then when we go to grade 1, will we be able to, move from IEB or to CAPS? Yeah. And then also, sorry, that's one question. And then also in terms of the second question, I think you guys will help, is with regards to tests and assessments. So how do you guys conduct your assessments and tests? How would we be able to do it since we're doing homeschooling? How will we know that it's the child that actually did the test and not me, for example? So yeah, those are my questions.
Okay, I think Gerda, our junior school teacher, you said, Matabo, so you're looking for this year, going into next year, so grade R for this year.
That's it.
Okay, Gerda.
Hi, Matabo. Welcome. Let me explain what CAPS is where it stands within the private schools, or the IEBs. Most of them are IEB schools, and the government schools. Everybody is doing CAPS. So Brainline is doing CAPS, IEB schools are doing CAPS, the government schools are doing CAPS. It's all about the approach of how you implement the CAPS curriculum. So as we are registered with the IEB, we take an IEB approach, and the difference is in the way in which we try to teach the learners to think. It's more a critical kind of thinking than knowledge-based kind of thinking. So we try to help the learners to understand and answer questions on the why rather than the what, where, and when. I hope that explains it all. So CAPS, everybody is doing CAPS because that's the national curriculum that we have to use. So no problem when doing the CAPS curriculum. There's nothing wrong with the curriculum, and you won't have a problem when the child is moving maybe into Brainline, moving back to a government school or into a private school. So that won't be a problem. And what the assessment, there's no assessment for grade R's. We only have assessments from grade 1 and up. And yes, you will be able to assist your child. You can help your child, and we might not know it, or we might find it out. Sometimes we do get the learners and parents who help their learners, and we catch them out. Sometimes we don't. So it's all up to you and what you actually learn your child, teach your child in being a valuable person with values and doing the right thing. So actually what I'm telling you is that you are the responsible one in teaching your child not to cheat.
Okay. Sorry, and then for one question, thank you for that. That was very helpful. Just the last question. So with him moving to grade 1 next year, do you guys, would we have a report from you guys as proof that he finished grade 1? So how will I show proof? I mean, yeah, that he's finished grade R, moving to grade 1. How will I have proof that he knows the necessary skills?
We don't assess the learners, but we give them a kind of a confirmation certificate that he has done the grade R program. He was enrolled with us. And grade R isn't compulsory, so that's not a problem. But from grade 1, we have assessments in June and November. So they complete it at home, you send it in, and according to that assessment, we issue a report. For grade 3, they also have to submit orals and reading so that we can assess that and make sure that that mark is correct and shows what the learner really can do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think I've been answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mataba. Nandi, you asked a question. Your website indicates that there could be daily or weekly virtual classes. How will we know whether classes are daily or weekly? Nandi, we can maybe chat with you and just find out what grade are you referring to. I'm going to allow you an opportunity to talk. Just so that we make sure that we answer your question correctly. What grades are you looking for or looking at for this year?
Thank you for taking my question. I'm looking at grade 6 and grade 8.
Grade 6 and grade 8. Okay, for this year, hey.
For this year and continuing forward as well.
Ah, beautiful. That's what we love to hear. Okay, so for grade 6, Ghada will give a bit of background as to what subject we give live lessons for in grade 6. And then Adal for the high school can jump in on the grade 8.
Hi, Nani. For grade 4 to 7, we have live lessons in the languages and maths. And it's not on a daily schedule, but they have it once a week. It's very difficult to reach a primary school learner through a screen, and especially the languages. They have to engage, and it's very difficult to see if via a screen if everybody is participating and doing along and repeating what you're saying. So we have the live lessons for the languages and maths, and then we also have pre-recorded lessons for maths. And we find that the pre-recorded lessons is a very is an asset to the parent, because it refreshes your mind, and you can pause, you can go back, you can pause, and you can go back as many times as you wish. Where in a class, the primary school learners, they don't immediately know if they understand or not. You need a parent or a teacher to see that they are not, they always think they understand and they know what they're doing. So you need the person next to them to see, do they really understand? So that's why the pre-recorded lessons are so valuable. That's what we have for grade 6.
And then Harashi also asked a good question. How does Brainline monitor students in terms of their results? Would parents have to support?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that was for grade 6. Is that the same answer for grade 8 then?
No, grade 8. Yes, Adele. Sorry, I forgot about the second part.
The grade 8s have more classes per week. So we do classes in every subject. So you'll find that for grade 8 and 9 students, we have separate Afrikaans and English classes, except for history at this moment. And so they have at least one session a week on each subject. For subjects like languages, we have 2 sessions a week. And then for subjects like mathematics, science, and biology, we have up to 3 lessons a week. And these are on a timetable that we've scheduled at the beginning of the semester or the cycle, and then it's given through to the students on the platform. So they know in advance which day of the week, at what time they've got a specific subject class. So we provide the link so that they can join the class and have a contact session with the teacher. And if it happens that it is a public holiday, or the teacher is sick, or there is a power failure or whatever, those lessons are being done pre-recorded and uploaded. So it's not like the student will miss a class, they actually have it. And then also all our classes are recorded, so you can also, like Gerda said, go back to the recordings and watch it again and again and again. So our classes are not just a live session that you have with a teacher to ask questions. You can also go back to the recording afterwards and rewatch. And also, if a child, we sometimes find that children are very reluctant to ask questions in class because they feel scared or not sure of themselves, then they are free to email the teacher afterwards and then ask them a question if they had some kind of question. So that's the basic answer for grade 8s.
Okay, and then the second question that you asked, Nandi, regards to the monitoring from our side what we do. Maybe Colleen, you can also help me fill in here, but it's still very important for the parent to be involved in what is required from the student per term.
Yes, indeed, Nandi, it's quite important. And these days we seem to get that question quite often. And it's actually good that we have the opportunity to answer that question. A structured package like Brainline or any other curriculum for that matter, if the curriculum supplier claims that you can leave a very young child in front of a screen and hope that it would be adequate, I think would be a rather erroneous assumption. One needs to be actively involved in the academic education of your child. The younger the children are, the more your involvement will be in that education. The older they become, the more they will be able to work independently. But it is very difficult for a child of, say, 12, 13, 14 years of age to project manage their own academic progress. In other words, properly manage their own time so that they revise at the correct time, that they stay on track, that they do enough work on each day so that they finish in time for the final exams at the end of each term. So it's a really worrying question and something that we need to discuss. Yes, you would be involved in the education of your child and actively with regard to especially how is my child progressing? Are they actually understanding what they are reading? Are they understanding what is offered in the virtual class? And the younger they are, the more your involvement will be required. I think Ghada will agree with me. Grade 1, 2, and 3, you are inextricably part of the education of your child. You would have to work through worksheets with that particular child, explain to them what to do. They will not be able to, from either a virtual class or a paper or a screen in front of them, understand what they are supposed to do. They need the understanding of the parent or the educator to assist them. I think you will find as the learner grows older, grade 8, 9 and up, probably 10 and 11, even then they would not require your time as intensively, but it is extremely important that you take interest in what they are doing so that you can understand, are they on track? Are they just telling you that they are all right, or are they really not all right? Do they understand the mathematics that they are supposed to be doing? And that means that I have to actively take part in looking at the work that they are doing, taking their books in my hands and paging through it. How many activities are they actually completing? Did they check themselves against the memo that they are given, whether it's on Brain Online or in their study material? That's extremely important. Only then am I able to gauge, is my child progressing adequately? Does my child understand the study material? Are they actively engaging with the study material? A screen can never replace, it doesn't matter what the age of the child is, a screen can never replace the active interest of a parent. And the younger that child is, the more your participation will be required. And that's the thing about what would summarize how I would describe it. I don't know if Ghada or Adele would like to add to that.
Before they add, could I just say something? I really appreciate your response, and I'm definitely an interested parent, actively interested parent in my child's education. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm on this webinar today, because I am seeking other options. But my point really is that as working parents, we all have time management issues that we are faced with. And my simple question was, how much of support? Maybe I didn't phrase it appropriately. And that's why you seem to think that it's a bit of a worrying issue. But my question was simply, how much of support do the parents get in this entire process?
Nandi, wonderful. Thank you. I'm loving the conversation. Indeed, I understand a little bit better. You know, as old homeschool parents, Rosa Marie has also been homeschooled, and she knows exactly what happened in her life. The fact that one needs to participate in the academic education of your child doesn't mean that it has to be between 8 and 1. I think Rosie will also agree with me, and maybe she can come in and just give you a better picture from a learner's point of view. She's now also a grown young woman, but from a learner's point of view, how did she experience it? So I was also a working mom like you, Nandi. Even today, I'm a working person. I've worked all my life. So I do respect the time constraints that we as working moms have. But what we did is we planned it around our lifestyle. What are the things that we are supposed to do? And what are the things that we can't move? And some of the things that we couldn't move way back when were, for instance, the gymnastics classes that they had, the music classes that they had. And currently, it would be the virtual classes. Now, if you want to partake in the live virtual classes, of course, you want to be on time in that particular class. But it's not so hard and fast that you are not able to view it as a recording later. So Nandi, even then you can decide as a family, what would be the best times of the day and maybe the best times in the week that we are going to home educate. If your children know that you're not going to be available between 8 and 1, because that was the time during which I was the busiest, and I had to ask my husband to take the work away from me so that I can actively work with my children in the morning, because they were fresh then in the morning. However, there were also times when I was not available to help my children during the morning, and my husband had to take my place during the mornings. So as a family, we had to plan, how are we going to go about this? Now, if we look at times, it's not required that you spend 2 solid hours with your child in one particular day, say from 8 to 10. It could be that you're going to spend half an hour or an hour, then take a break. That'll give you time to make a few phone calls, answer a few emails. I don't know what kind of work you're doing, whether it's even practical for you to do that. And then go on from 11 to 12 with your child, as long as your child gets a sense of stability. In other words, they know this is what's going to happen on Monday. This is their program on Monday. This is their program on Tuesday. This is their program on Wednesday. They get to fall into a comfortable pattern. And I would like to encourage you to not think that we need to duplicate school at home. But that's what that's what makes home education so nice. You can make it fit into your life and not have your life fit into the school. Because again, as working moms, sometimes we know what our day is going to be like, and sometimes we don't. And it's simply one of those things that our children need to understand, that this is going to be the way forward. As long as a family you sit down and decide this is what we are going to do, and this is the way that we are going to do this whole home education thing, and it's going to be for up until the end of this year, or maybe for this year as well as next year. We don't know what 2021 is going to look like. So I think the best we can do is at least plan until the end of this year, and then sit together and decide again what is next year going to look like. So Nandi, I'm going to encourage you. Sit down and make this work for you. There is nobody who's going to tell you or should tell you what you should or should not do. You should decide what will work in your family. And again, I would like to encourage you, if you've got time constraints, then decide to focus on the languages and on mathematics. Those are the most important parts. The rest of the subject you can catch up later. Don't worry about those. But the most essential ones are the languages and mathematics. So from one working mom to another, make this work the way you want it to make and not the other way around.
Thank you for that.
Okay, Nandi, do you have any more questions that you'd like us to help you with?
I think my second was just about the monitoring. How does the monitoring of the students happen?
Specifically, what grade? Are you talking grade R 1, 2, and 3?
No, 6 and 8.
6 and 8. All right. Grade 6, Ghada, will you just talk about the monitoring of grade 6, and then Adele for grade 8? As a parent, what was valuable for me is because I have the username and the password of my child, I was able to go onto the profile and see exactly when a task is due and when a test is due and when I need to check up on that. So as a parent monitoring from our side, that was what was important to me. I needed to know when they were supposed to write exams, when they're supposed to hand in tasks. Now I'm going to ask Ghada and Adele just to give you monitoring from an academic perspective.
Okay, so grade 4 to 7 has tasks and tests during the year. They have a task and a test in each subject in cycle 1, 2, and 3, and in the last cycle, cycle 4, they only have an exam that they have to complete. For the primary school, we have a year planner, and on the year planner, all the dates are indicated that the learner should submit anything that's on the plan. So tasks needs to be submitted during a specific week, and tests have to be submitted during a specific session during the morning. So we only mark and assess those tasks and tests from our side. That's how we complete a complete SBA for a learner. It's from those tasks and tests. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and then for the grade 8s, we also have formal assessments. We have tasks, tests, and exams. We have for each cycle, so we've got 4 cycles. We have for each cycle, we have a task and a test. And then we have like a half-year exam test, and then we have final exams at the end of the year. All these dates, when they need to be submitted, is given through on timetables. The task submission date is given through on the year schedule that they receive at the beginning of the year, so they know exactly when they should submit tasks and tests. But as Ghada and Colleen mentioned, that parents must be involved, especially for grade 8 and 9, to make sure that they stay on track and that they don't forget to submit, and they use enough time to prepare for those tasks and test, and not wait for the evening before they need to submit. So there is a little bit of time management that they need to get used to, especially on a lower grade like grade 8. So there must be a little bit of parent involvement with that. With regards to other monitoring, the teachers receive feedback from our assessment division with regards to marking and grading that has been done on tasks and assessments, and teachers do the necessary interventions. So they will discuss the memo, problem areas, etc. in class, and we also do like a video recording on what the memo was, like a discussion of that, which students can use afterwards if they struggled with a task or anything, that they can go back to and see where their problem areas is. I think also I can just add that being in the mainstream, you have a teacher that constantly monitors you in class on a daily basis. But when you do homeschooling, you need to also take into consideration that you have to decide your own time frame on what you do. And that discipline is very important. So if there's a struggle with that, you first need to sort that out, because that's very important for managing yourself at home, especially if you want to receive very good marks and grades at the end of the year. So self-discipline, self-study is a main key when you try and do this on your own.
Nandi, does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, awesome. I think this, and I think we are experiencing it all over this year. Many parents, you're not alone. many parents are trying to juggle work, studies, school, young children at home, trying to manage meetings with young children all over the house. So we do understand that, and what we try to do, if something does happen in your life, say for instance, you have got something, a crisis happening in your home, what we also try to do is, if there is an exam or a test series that the learner cannot write for a reason, based on the reason, then we will exempt the learner. In other words, the balance of what they submit for that year. And it's also grade dependent, but as a general rule, we can exempt that learner from those tests and tasks, which will mean that they are not disadvantaged, but they can then have a year mark based on the balance of what they submit. So all of us know that life out there currently, and here with us as well, it's a juggling act, and we are aware of it. So send an email and then we'll try and assist as best we possibly can.
Okay, Nandi, you happy with the answers?
Thank you.
Okay. Adele, there's a question from Lynn about when her grade 9 daughter starts at this time of year. Does she have to catch up with term 1 and 2? Or what is the process around that? And then Sean also asked the same question, but for grade 11.
Okay, yes. So let me do both of them in one, because I think they're almost the same answer level. So when you enroll now from a previous school, doesn't matter if it's departmental, government school, or private school, another IEB school, doesn't matter. We all have the same curriculum. And that's also a question that someone else asked about the CAPS curriculum. Like we said in the beginning, CAPS curriculum is the same for everybody. It's the approach and how we assess it that differs. And so for Lynn, for grade 9, if she starts now, obviously she did something at the other school for the first cycle, so we can use those marks for her. If she didn't do anything for cycle 2 because she didn't return to school yet, then obviously she will be exempted from those assessments. She does not need to write all those assessments again for grade 9. So we exempt them and use marks that we have from previous schools. And then she starts fresh in cycle 3. But she needs to catch up on the content of the curriculum to be able to write the final exams. So with that, we assist by giving you all the lessons that we've done previously via recordings. We have other resources, and she's also able to ask the teacher if she struggles with something and need to catch up on that. And so the same will be for Sean that asked about grade 11. For grade 11 also, you exempted from tests and exams that you didn't do. But if you've done something in cycle 1, we reuse those marks to enter on our system so that they can be added to your year mark. So we will be compiling the year mark slightly different from other students if you enroll late and didn't do anything in the second term. But you still need to remember that practicals like PETs and PETs and orals and those need to be catched up on. So we have like a small catch-up plan if it's necessary for you to complete those PETs and PETs, especially on grade 11 level. You need to complete those. So the teachers are aware of the situations and they are helping students to cope with what they need to still do. There are still ample time to complete if you need to catch up on anything. But if you're grade 9, basically you just start with cycle 3 onwards. And then Lynn also asked about the invigilation. Up to grade 11, you need to register an invigilator with us. So we have a special link on our system where you register an invigilator. They go through a test. They've got a manual and everything. And there's a certain process of how they must invigilate. So you do the invigilation at home or at the center or where the invigilator is for that specific day. There's a specific process when download links are available, etc. And that's also to keep the authenticity and the validity of our assessments intact. So there's a whole process on invigilation with our assessments. On grade 12 level, we're a little bit more stricter. So if there's someone grade 12 that wants to ask something about that, they can ask. But I see it's only grade 9 and grade 11. Okay, Rosie.
Thank you, Dal. Lynn, I hope that answered your question. If not, you can just ask again on the chat. I see that Sean, just linking to the question that Sean Naidu asked, if she does not need to be registered with the DBE, Department of Education, how does she proceed with writing matric exams? I see Colleen wanted to answer that question live.
Yes, please. Good afternoon, Sean. The registration with the Department of Education, I am actually thinking of two kinds of registration. The first one that I'm thinking about is the registration for home education. In other words, if you have children of school compulsory age, which means the age of 7 up until 15 or grade 9, whichever one of those come first, then that is a registration that needs to be done with your local district. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly on the Q&A post for you the link that you can use. I want to quickly find it before I forget it. Here we go. You will find this one. Will take you, if you click on that, to your different provinces, and having gone into your province, it gives you an online form to complete. Now, it will ask you your ID, it will ask you the name of the learner, it will ask you what curriculum you will be using, and of course you will be using the South African CAPS curriculum. It will ask you how many hours you're going to spend per day, and then you can use the guideline mostly of, if I think back to school, how many hours did I spend on school, etc., etc. Just follow your heart. What kind of extracurricular activities will there be? During COVID-19 lockdown, very little, but you can maybe write something what you would like to do under ideal circumstances, etc., etc. So that is registration for home education for children of school compulsory age. Then I'm thinking about, and I'm leading on to that because you did speak about the matric exams, only when learners get to the age of 16 plus, in other words, grade 10, 11, and 12, do we register with them with the exam board of choice? Now, in our case, we will do that on your behalf. You don't need to worry about that. And the matric exams are done through an examination board. In our case, that will be the Independent Examination Board. So registration with the Department of Education is done by the family. It can unfortunately not be done by us. We would have liked to assist, but we cannot. We cannot do it on your behalf, but we can register the learner for grade 10, 11, and 12 for the National Senior Certificate with the exam board of their choice. Then I'd like to quickly do a question that somebody who put their initials in there, PC. How does Brainline Express work? I have a grade 8 and a grade 4 that I want to enroll into that program. Now, PC, that specific package is tailor-made for those who are real good at home education. In other words, you know exactly what you would like to do. You've been home educating for a number of years. You are well accustomed to sourcing your own resources. You love to have a variety of textbooks to choose from in a particular subject. So this will work well for you. Why do I say that? Well, it is all of the assessment for a particular year, all in one concise and compact package. In other words, you would get all the tasks and assignments for that particular year, all of the tests for that particular year in one package, accompanied by memos. In other words, you will receive everything for what you need, or everything for assessment rather, that you would need for that particular grade in that year. The only thing that is left out is the final exam. And the final exam needs to be done through our system on a particular date. In other words, you've got a set timetable. That means the balance of the assessment I can use throughout the year as and how I wish. In other words, if the student would like to work a little bit in advance, in other words, progress a little bit faster in a particular subject, they can do so. And then I use the Express product to assess what they have done so far. So if you are good at home education, you know exactly what you want to do, then the Express product is exactly what you need. Rosie, back to you.
Thank you. Yes, there's also on the FAQ that I posted earlier on the chat, there's also a very good explanation of what you can expect in Express versus the premium product. So you can also have a look there. Gerda, there was a question from Atabu again for grade R, where she asked with regards to the specific stationery. Would you like to answer her, please?
Yes, I wouldn't buy a lot of stuff in advance. I will have a look at the program and buy it as we go along, because a lot of the stuff you're going to have at home, like a ball and a skipping rope, and a lot of the stuff is also done by baking and mixing things that you have in the house when they're baking cookies or something like that. And usually we use the normal kind of stationery, like if you have crayons, maybe paint, definitely clay in the house, and you can start with that, but don't buy a lot of stuff in advance. Rather look at the program 4 weeks ahead and see what you don't have in the house.
Okay, thank you, Gerda. Let's see. Michelle Hastings. Okay, we live abroad and our daughters have just completed grade 2 and 4 in June. And they are due to commence a new school year with grades 3 and 5 in August. In your experience, how is it best to integrate with your curriculum that runs from January to December? Should they repeat 6 months of the grade they have just completed, or should they continue on the Express curriculum option? Okay, Colleen, snag that one.
Michelle, yes, I think your idea of Express is an excellent idea. In other words, you can use the assessment and then decide, is your child coping with this particular grade? And then you as the parent, because you know what's in the best interest of your child, will be able to decide, am I going to start with this or that grade in the next year? And where should I start with that? I think that is an excellent answer. If you then get to November and you would like a report, you can then enroll, say about mid-October, at the beginning of October, and then enroll for our final exam, which runs always in November of the year. That is if you wish to have a report. So Michelle, well done for that one. I think that's an excellent idea. Then Mark has got a question. Hi, everyone. Are there any restrictions for students going into grade 8 from an ACE school? Now, Mark, my experience of ACE is that they work in paces. And what generally happens is they are in, say, for instance, at grade 7 level in this subject, because they've done so many paces there, or they might be in grade 9 for that subject as they progress faster or slower in a particular learning area. So, Mark, I think what you need to do is decide, based on the paces that they have done, what in your evaluation or in your assessment is the most appropriate grade that you would like to enroll them for. There aren't any restrictions on our side with regard to your decision what the most appropriate grade would be. The only restrictions that we have is with grade 10, 11, and 12. In other words, for the learner to be able to enroll for grade 11, he has to offer to us a report and a pass report for grade 10 before he's able to enroll for grade 11, and the same holds true for grade 12. So Mark, you're welcome to decide what is in the best interest of your child and then go ahead and enroll him or her in the most appropriate grade.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a few questions about invigilation. Now, it might be different from the lower grades to the higher grades. And if you've enrolled with us, you will see that there's a detailed FAQ around how the invigilation works. So I think Adele, if you can just maybe answer Lynn. And Anonymous also asked for grade 2, 7, and 9. Then Gerda, you can help on the grade 2 and the grade 7 regards to what are the requirements of invigilation and where can they register to be an invigilator.
Okay, so for Lynn, I think you are the one that has a grade 8 or 9, I can't remember now. So invigilation from grade 8 to grade 11 works on the same principle. You need someone that's not a family member or a parent to do invigilation. But due to lockdown, we have special arrangements that you can apply for. So the parent can do the invigilation. So there's strict process around that. So if you're new to Brandon, I think Anonymous also asked that for the grade 9 one. Please read the FAQ and the assessment guidelines policy because all the steps are there. The link for registration of an invigilator is on our My Personal Zone. There's a link how you can register. They receive a number, invigilator code that they've registered. And normally what you do, if it's not now under normal circumstances, which is not lockdown, you need to have someone that's not living in the house or not a family member. So you can ask someone at work, you can ask someone from another house or the neighbor, someone that's independent of the family that can do the invigilation. So there are certain procedures that you need to adhere by, and those are given through in the FAQ manual and the assessment guidelines as to how they need to be done. So now during lockdown, we have special arrangements, and you just need to send in your request. And then we have also arrangements that's been done on how you must record that session via any means of an application that you use like Zoom or your cell phone, so that we can use that as reference just to keep the validity of our assessments intact. Gerda, lower grades?
Okay, for grade 1 to 7, the process is basically the same, but for grade, anyone, any test or exam has to be invigilated by somebody. In grade 1 to 3, it may be the parent, but you need to register as an invigilator. For grade 4 to 7, it may not be a close family member. However, now in lockdown, it may be a close family member. So anybody you use, and during this time, if it's you, please register as an invigilator and you will receive an invigilator number, because every task or assessment exam has a specific area where you must complete your detail with your number. So we have to see a name and a number, not just a name.
Okay, thank you, Gerda. I've also posted the link where you can register as an invigilator. It's a small test that you do that just goes through the requirements of what you need to do when invigilating an examination. So it puts that ownership and responsibility on the invigilator. Okay, Lindsay, I hope that we've answered your question. Okay, Colleen, then Charles Castle had a few questions as well.
Yes, Charles. I would like to presume that the fact that you mentioned, is there any other registering notification I need to do with the local authorities GED, will tie in with a previous question on registration with the Department of Education? Charles, no. Children of grade 11 years are usually age 16 or 17. In other words, they fall outside of the registration that is required for home education with the Department of Education. So you need not worry about that. In other words, if at grade 11 level you enroll the learner with us, then we will automatically do the registration of grade 10, 11, and for grade 12s with our examination board, which is the IEB. You do ask a question, I deregistered from the current school, I enroll and register with you. So yes, that's exactly what you would do. You would then, if you are fortunate enough to have term 1 reports, or maybe even a term 2 report, which I think is highly unlikely, please do give those to us. And then the way forward after that, to answer your what happens to the balance of the year. What will happen is the learner is then exempted from all assessments for term 1 and term 2. In the most extraordinary circumstances of 1 or 2 subjects, there may be a compulsory assignment or a task, which may be a PET or a PAT that you need to complete. However, we will notify you of that. Chances are that you will be exempted from all of those tests, tasks, and assignments. The learner will then start with term 3, which in our case would start on the 13th of July, a few days from now, and then simply continue on from there. Even though you enroll with us from the first day of the 3rd term, you will find that we give you all the material from the very first day of the academic year, the 3rd or 4th of January or something like that. All the recordings of all the virtual classes, all the test tasks and assignments, all the memos of the test tasks and assignments. So the learner can feel free to revise back as and how he or she needs to do. In other words, we don't just give you half of the year's work, we give you all of the year's work so that you can browse around and go and delve into everything that we have done for this year, for the entire term 1 and the entire term 2. You would then simply continue with term 3.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, I wonder if we give you a chance to quickly speak. You asked that if you live out of South Africa, do we need to register with the Department of Education? And you had a few other questions as well previously.
Hi, yes, my previous question was answered. Thank you. I think I'm clear on that. It was about whether we integrate into the same grades that we've just completed for the last 6 months of this year, or so that we start in January, or whether we do the express option. So I think we actually are in the fortunate situation that we've got employment of a tutor to help our girls through the program. So 3 days a week they'll have lessons with the tutor, and then 2 days of the week they'll have independent assignments, and I'll support them as a parent. And we just were unsure of how to start the next grade. I understand it's better for them to follow your exact timetable so that the examinations are all written at the same time as the rest of the students. But perhaps for the rest of this year, it's my understanding that Colleen was recommending we just do the express, Brain Line Express, for the last 6 months, and then we can reassess towards the end of this year.
Indeed, yes. And if I can then just link your other question, do we need to register with the Department of Education? I don't think so, Michelle, because you do not reside at this point in time in South Africa. In other words, you would then, and because of the fact that you've already been in schools abroad, I think that just nullifies the idea that you need to register with the Department of Education. However, if you return to South Africa, then they might say, well, now you're back in South Africa, now you are here, then your children, if they're still of school compulsory age, then one needs to register with the Department of Education in that case.
Okay, understood. So then do we just, okay, I'll drop an email to the lady that was assisting me on email to wrap it up. But I think this has been very informative. Thank you very much.
All right, maybe if I may touch on what is the cost of assessment in the Express package placed by Anonymous. Rosie, I wonder if you would like to quickly, since you have shared your own screen previously, maybe just give us a quick indication of where do we find prices on our website for any one of our products.
definitely.
While you're doing that, I think I shall go on to Anonymous's question. How does the child log into Zoom classes? Can they go back to view the recorded lesson for each subject? Adele, you wanted to answer that one quickly.
Yes, if it the classes are working at this moment, we're still using Zoom, and the links are made available by the teacher on the subject page. So on the subject page, we've got a certain banner that we call classes, and on that banner you will find the links to the class as well as the time and the date for that specific class. So for every class we have a new link. The classes are being recorded, and the uploads will also be made in that same banner on our subject page, so that they can go back and look at that MP4 that we've loaded. So all the lessons for the whole year is recorded, and they are loaded onto our website.
Thank you, Adele. So if you go to our homepage, brainon.com, and go to products and choose R23, you will navigate to, just see, a page where you can choose between the various grades. And there we go. So I'm not sure what grade you're looking at, but you can just scroll down and you'll see the comparison between the CAPS and the Express quite clearly. So I'm just going to go to grade 4 to 6 Express, click on Learn More. And you'll see there's a price for the portfolio only. Just go down. Okay, so for the exam and the portfolio, it's 6,500 Rand for the year. But you also have the option when you enroll at mybrainon.com to only have the portfolio option. But that then only gives you the tasks and assessments that they need to do throughout the year. That excludes the final exam. So we always recommend that you choose the exam and portfolio option, that you can write the final exam and get the Brainon report at the end of the year. But what you can do, if you need a formal quotation to give you the detailed price, you can send an email to finance@brainon.com and just indicate to me the grade that you're looking at, and I'll issue you with a formal quotation so that you have that for when you enroll. You can just click on this Enroll Now button, and it'll take you to the enrollment platform. Just for reference, when you enroll, you will also receive an online quotation. Okay, so it depends on what you're more comfortable with. Okay, Sean, you asked another question. I wonder if we must give you just an opportunity to talk. Then there are a few hands up as well. Hi, Sean.
Yes, just a quick one. With regards to navigation of your portal, would there be a tutorial for the student and parents before when they join? Or is it self-explanatory and we'll be able to navigate through those portals?
Okay, I'll just jump in, Sean. So it's a Zoom link that we give to you. It's a URL hyperlink. So what the kid does is just click the link and it opens up the classroom and they're inside. We do have security measures in place. So the teacher has like a waiting room where she needs to identify the students that log into the class so that we don't have strangers running around and causing havoc. So just to keep the order and discipline intact, we have like a waiting room. So when the kid clicks the link for the specific class that he wants to join, he will be placed in a waiting room. He doesn't need to do anything. And the teacher will admit him to the class and then he's in. And that's it. So it's simply just clicking. And like the same platform that we're using now, there's a function that says chat. So the kid can talk there or chat, write his answer or question or whatever he wants to. He can also, like you're doing now, unmute himself by just clicking the microphone image on the toolbar and then speak to the teacher. So it's really very, very, very simple. But we do have an orientation video that we send to new students. We also have a session for new students to help them transition to the new virtual platform that we use. So it's actually very, very easy to use.
Thank you, Adele. I think I'll jump in here with the availability of the textbooks, whether it's online or hard copies. So you always have the option, and you will always have the option between ebooks, which is for this year on our Brainline e-reader. So it's a PDF housed in an application that you download on your laptop, which can either be a Mac or Windows. For next year, we're going to use an e-reader called Snaplify. And what makes Snaplify really awesome is you can make notes on the ebook. Unfortunately, you can't make notes on the Brainline e-reader, you can only view it. If you do not prefer the ebook option, you can order the hard copy books through Credo Books. When we did our research, they're our preferred third-party printer. They offered our clients the best prices on printing the actual textbooks. So I'm going to put that link up on the chat so that you can inquire on the specific prices of the books should you want to choose a hard copy option. For ebooks, when you enroll with us, you have the ability to select which ebooks you want, should that be the route that you want to go. So I hope, Marty and Lynn, I hope I answered your questions there. The one thing that's very nice about our Brainline e-reader, is that we include the teacher's guides for our parents, which might often be helpful. It's not a requirement, but if you were to buy those teacher's guides, they are quite expensive. They run for just over 300 Rand a teacher's guide for a subject. So I would definitely recommend the ebooks where possible.
Rosie, maybe I can jump in here. For Afrikaans and English in the primary school, they need the teacher's guide because a lot of the listening tests are in the teacher's guide. So that's definitely a yes for Afrikaans and English.
Is that for grade 4 to 7, Heather?
Grade 4 to 7, yes.
Beautiful. There you go.
And then also for the higher grades, the teacher book also give you the answers for all the activities that's in the learner book. So it is important for you to have the answer book, if you can talk like mention it like that, because that's where your activity answers is.
Okay. Thank you, Adele. Then there are a few people that raised their hands. Kira, I hope I said it right. I'm going to allow you to talk. You'll see on your screen on the left-hand side, there's an unmute button. If you would like to... Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. I went on the GDE website yesterday and I saw that it can take up to 30 days for an application for homeschooling to be approved. My question is, are you familiar of any times when these applications were rejected for parents? Because why I'm asking this question is, one wants to register with you, but what if in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time you get a negative reply from the GDE?
All right. Good afternoon. The policy that you see on their website has been the policy for a number of years. And I think you'll agree with me, then lockdown came and suddenly lockdown interfered with almost everybody's policies. And it's very impractical for those policies to be implemented at this point in time. We find that parents will decide to do home education if they see that something is happening in their family. There might be comorbidities and they decide this is too dangerous to have their children go to school. Now they have to wait for 30 days to wait to see if their application has been accepted. And I think you'll agree with me that it's practically impossible to navigate the registration process that way. So what parents do currently is they start with home education and they continue with home education regardless. However, in answer to the application being refused, no. I have not come across any application that has been refused for any reason. And they have to inform you of such a reason. So no, I haven't received that yet. I think at this point in time, the Department of Education is just too thankful if parents are able and willing to home educate their children and to take the social distancing matter into their own hands because of the numbers that they cannot cope with in schools at this point in time. So now the answer is I haven't found yet that that application has been denied. And nor have I found any parent coming back to us saying that something untoward has happened with their registration. I think at this point in time, they're merely approaching it as a notification process rather than an application process. And I think that is what the homeschooling community has been advocating all along. It should be a notification process and not an application process.
Thanks, I appreciate the response.
Most welcome.
Okay, Louise, I'm also going to allow you the opportunity to talk. You've raised your hand as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having this session. So I've just joined Brainline for my son for grade 2 and then for my daughter grade 5. The question that I've got here, just to basically get started off, do they now physically start with cycle 1, or where do they now actually start with the learning process to be able to be ready for the assessments at the end of the year?
Shall I answer that question?
Yes, Hannah, would you like to do that one? Yes, please.
Okay. No, they don't have to redo anything of cycle 1 and 2. They can just fall in and jump in with the cycle 3 work with us and start submitting tasks and tests if they are ready in cycle 3. You can go back to the cycle 1 and 2 maths work maybe. We cover the CAPS curriculum, but it's slightly in a different order. So maybe just go back and see did they do fractions or volume or whatever there is in the curriculum. So no need to catch up or redo. You can just jump in with cycle 3, and then next week we will have a session for grade 1 to 7 parents, and we will assist in these kind of questions and have more practical ideas to assist you. But yeah, you can just go see the work schedule on the e-reader and on the different subject pages, and that will indicate you where we will be starting next week in cycle 3.
Okay, thank you. And then just another question. So, Brainline, I've been looking at the sites and the programs, and I've also looked at the Cloud School. So I've also basically informed some of my fellow colleagues, so they will also be joining Brainline soon.
Thank you, Louis. We didn't ask for it, but thank you so much for that commendation or the compliment that you've added. It's wonderful. And please come back to the next Q&A question. Please come back to the next Ask Brainline question and join us as one of the panelists. Rosie, back to you.
Yes, Matava, I'm not sure whether this was a hand raised before, when we answered the questions, but I'm going to allow you to talk.
Hi, yes. So in terms of grade R, is it the same thing in terms of catching up? Does he need to catch up on the curriculum Braille Lines curriculum, or can you just continue from where we starting?
Don't need to catch up anything for the primary school. From grade R to grade 7, you can just start with, I think they have 21 modules. So actually you can start with maybe module 11, because there's enough weeks left until November to do that, to start with module 11 maybe. Or if you find that he did some of the things in the previous school, you can just forward the program and start with a next module. And you can skip the things that he can do and focus on the stuff that he cannot do yet.
All right, thank you.
Mataba, do you have other children?
No, I only have a son. I've got one son.
Okay. I was just about to say, if you have other children, I dare you to keep the other kids out of the grade R curriculum. There's such fun activities to do. I think when you start, you'll have, it's such fun to do, play activities, stuff that you build, stuff that you bake. And I think you'll want to work through all the modules rather than to see which one you would like to exclude, because it's really fun to do. And I wish you well, and I think you're going to enjoy your child so much having done that curriculum.
Thank you. I can't wait, actually. Thank you.
Rosie, back to you.
Yes, there was a question from Anonymous. If the child fails assessment, how can they rewrite? And this was for grade R and grade 6.
Anonymous, if I may, and Ghada, I think will add to me to my answer, that I think you do not need to worry about a failed assessment. Assessment in Brainline's case is not about what can a child do or what can a child not do. Assessment to us is, how do we teach a child to, or how do we see what are the things that we need to look at? What are the skills that the child has not mastered yet? And I think Ghada can maybe just come in with, at that grade, how much does the year mark actually contribute, and how much does the final mark contribute? And should we really worry about one test that has been failed or not failed?
Everything is based on the last assessment. Actually, you have the whole year to work on skills and stuff that your child doesn't know yet. June assessment is not a compulsory, so you can even skip that and continue with help them to achieve what they need to know at the end of the year. For grade 6, the year mark, and a year mark refers to the marks of cycle 1, 2, 3, count 75%. So should a child fail one of the assessments, he has a lot of other to help him to achieve the 75%. And then the final mark is 25%, counts 25%. But yeah, we focus on, I actually hate the words pass and fail. It's what the learner hasn't achieved or what he has achieved. So rather have that attitude and see the result of a test as, what do we need to concentrate on more than, oh my goodness, this was a fail, what are we going to do now? See it as an assessment for yourself and for the learner. Don't see the mark. Read between the lines and help the learner to focus on that he needs to, that he hasn't yet achieved. So we don't have rewrites. We don't see the necessity for rewrites. You can just, in such a case, you are more than welcome to email me, contact me, and we can see how we can help the learner to get him to a pass mark.
Thank you, Gerda. Just want to see who raised their hands as well. Nompumulelo. I'm going to allow you to talk as well. Hello.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, hi, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yes, I wanted to ask about grade 1. My son is in grade 1 and I wanted to find out if there are online classes for grade 1. And secondly, if there are assessments that they need to submit in grade 1. And the last question that I wanted to find out was, I don't speak Afrikaans, and basically no one in my family does. I honestly I think even when I have to use Google personally, I would struggle. So if he has to take Afrikaans, I'm open to the idea of him learning a new language, but then is it advisable that we can still take it, or how do I handle such a situation?
All right, I'm going to start and then Gerda's going to take over. Nompumelelo, for the National Senior Certificate, in other words, our matric certificate, one has to offer 2 languages. Now, it's not really important whether the second language is Afrikaans or whether the second language is a different language. That doesn't really matter. The fact is that one has to offer 2, of which one has to be a home language. So make maybe a decision in your family. What language do you think would be best for him to have as a second language? And then decide which one will be the home language and which one will be then the second language. And as soon as the sooner you start with that second language, the better for the young one. With regard to assessment, don't worry about assignments. There are no assignments in grade 1. There's only 2 assessments that you need to be concerned about. The one is in June and the other one is in November. But Gerda, maybe we can explain to Nompumelelo and other mommies out there, what is the worksheet actually in grade 1? What does that do?
Goedemiddag, Nompumelelo. Hoe gaan dit met jou? Let's start the Afrikaans class today.
I guess I would say goed en jy.
You've passed. You can be happy. You've passed. Please don't worry about the Afrikaans for the little ones. We actually started the previous term with 2 classes, an elementary Afrikaans class and a advanced Afrikaans class, just to help the learners to learn some new words and what does action words like spring, sit, staan. We want them to have a conversation language. We can have a conversation with them, that they understand the words and the sentences and reading simple Afrikaans words. So we have started with that, and that's going very well. So you can participate in that. And then we give the learners, we know Afrikaans is a problem for our English children because they don't hear the language as often as our Afrikaans learners hear Afrikaans. So we give them, we don't fail them because of Afrikaans first additional language. We give them time to get up to speed and learn the language. So we will never fail a grade 1, 2, and 3 learner because of Afrikaans. We will rather assist and help them to get the language under the knee, know how to speak and how to understand the language. And you will be amazed. They are like little sponges. They pick it up very, very easily. And I'm sure that at the end of next year, if you stay with us, you will be able to speak Afrikaans just as well as I do.
That would be nice. That would be nice. No, thank you so much. You've answered me.
Rosie, I see Marty has asked, this is a subject related question from grade 10 upward. How does the practical assignments for arts work? Marty, our visual arts is actually one of our wonderfully exciting subjects that we offer. And Evan, who is our art teacher is very involved with our kids on a daily basis. He's got his own WhatsApp group for them, and they compile what they call a visual diary, which is actually the plan that you use, or the blueprint that you use to get to your final artwork. And in the end, in grade 12, they have to bring their artwork to one of our centers. At this point in time, it's Montana, where it is exhibited, and the IEB moderators come in and they mark that. So I would like to encourage you, if you think that you would like to take visual arts, to do so. He is very involved with each individual learner's production of their specific artwork. It could be a sculpture, it could be oil, it could be acrylic, it could be whatever their medium is. And of course, the history of art, that's all involved in there. So that is the way that we do artwork. You can expect a lot of video work, in other words, recording of your production of your artwork. You can expect a lot of conversations on WhatsApp and on audio, and you can expect to submit quite a bit of work where you've got to prove in your visual diary what you are busy with. So that's the way that we do the practical. Adele, is there something that I've missed on that one?
I can just maybe say that Evan, our arts teacher, is not afraid to go virtual, even if it's a practical subject. And we as Brainline staff enjoy his virtual arts exhibitions, if you can put it like that. So now practical is not a stopper for us. Even if we do virtual classes, meaning online, it doesn't stop doing any practicals. And it's also the same for other subjects that have practicals. We do them practically, even if we use virtual as a means of proof that we're doing our practicals. So yeah, now ours is well on their way.
Yes, Adolf, I can latch onto that. I think this is one of his students that is currently in grade 12, if I'm not mistaken. And she's actually a part of, or she helps us with some of the articles that we write every month with our student mentor. And this forms part of her portfolio. And I thought I'd show it because, why is this image not showing now? I'll quickly go onto Facebook and show you the type of work that she does. And it just latches on to the part where you said that he's not afraid to work in the virtual environment. She actually only uses digital media in her portfolios. And I hope I get to this article quite quickly to show you the image. She also uses the normal media, so water painting, all of that. But she's actually challenging the status quo and building digital artwork. And as my luck would have it, her Facebook page is so busy. I'm unable to open the image now. But there you get an idea of her work. And this specific one was talking about wellness and nutrition. And it's her interpretation of, I think you can see there's fruit, there's time clocks. And each of her artworks has specific descriptions of what she's trying to express in her digital work. So just thought I'd show that.
Rosie, I see there's another question. If one chooses French as the second language, how can that be integrated with your program? Fortunately, we have got lovely solutions for that. If you can find the, I think they call themselves the Alliance de Français in one of our larger metropolitan areas, we are able to work with them. What they then do is they do the instruction in the language. They also complete or help the learner to complete the assessment. And in the end, we sign with them what we call a mixed provisioning agreement. And then we take those marks from the learners or that the learners have achieved, and then we compile the report based on that. So yes, it is practically possible. Get in contact with us and we will be able to help you manage that one. All right, Rosie, that seems to be the bulk of all the questions.
Yes, let's see, we'll give everyone a chance to either raise their hands or ask a question. Should anyone have any other questions for financial matters, you can email finance@brainline.com. Otherwise, our general email is info@brainline.com. And as I said, that Loratu raised her hands. Loratu, stage is yours.
Hi. Okay, I just wanted to ask a question. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, okay, great. I just wanted to ask, I wasn't given I've got two kids, one grade 5 and one grade 7. So they starting on Monday, I guess, with the calendar. But I wasn't in their previous school. They were doing Zulu, I think, as a second language. And now we're only offered Afrikaans as a second language. What support is given for them? Because I think they're quite old now, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to grasp Afrikaans right now. So what support is given in terms of the second language? And do we have an option of choosing any other language currently?
Loratu, maybe I can answer. If you are able to, in their previous school or in your circle of friends, find a qualified teacher who will be able to support them in Zulu, we are most happy to work with that teacher in the same way as we offer to do that with French on a mixed provisioning agreement basis. So please stay in contact and then we can help you in that way. We do currently speak with a different company who can offer, we hope, additional languages for us. Those are in very early stages of the conversation, so there's unfortunately nothing that I can promise at this point in time. But if you do have somebody that you have in mind, please ask that person to get in contact with us, and in that way we can offer support by using a third party. So please tell us if you do have someone.
Okay, no, we'll do. We're all very excited with everything. Hope everything goes well from next week.
That's
Thank you
good.
so much.
Yeah, awesome, wonderful. Rosie, I think if you are there, we are then all done.
Yes, thank you for joining the session, everyone. And like I said, you are welcome to email us, and the recording will be available tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.